Now there's another thing though which you can do better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the DevTools again, just F12 into that, network, and let's just click home because I'm a little bit interested in your response headers. And we'll go to that first response and we'll have a look at the headers that come back here.
Okay, looks pretty standard.
It looks pretty standard, but it's telling us a lot of stuff which ideally it probably shouldn't be telling us. So it's, and look, there's a bit of debate about how much of a risk this really is. But we can tell that the server is Microsoft IIS 8.
Yep.
So we know what web server it's running on. It's ASP.NET version 4.0 point something. So we know what version of ASP.NET it's running on. Now between those two, particularly things like having minor versions of ASP.NET in there, if we know that there is a vulnerability in a certain version of ASP.NET, this makes it really easy to say, okay, now I'm going to start to probe this website. And then we've also got the MVC version there, and we've also got the X-powered by version there. Now here's the contention. So on the one hand, this is leaking information which you could then use to potentially exploit risks. On the other hand, even if that wasn't there, it wouldn't be real hard to discover what framework the web app is running on.
Right.
And a perfect example of that is that if we go over to resources
and the cookies,
it tells us you are running on ASP.NET. But you can also change these. So in your web.config, you can change the ASP.NET application cookie value and the ASP.NET session ID value.
But still, if you knew half about what you were doing, then you could probably identify them anyway.
Well then you could look at the request verification token. All right, so it's a bit of a slippery slope. But I think, to me, what kind of sticks with me is that this is information which is returned by every request, and automated bots that are just out there harvesting the internet will just look at this response and they go, bang, Sugar Learning is ASP.NET and it's this version, and it just gets stored. So there's no additional probing that is required. So this is very low-hanging fruit. And there are a lot of tools out there that are designed for finding web applications that run on particular versions.
Right.
So you want to think about that. It would be ideal if the site didn't actually disclose this information. Put it this way, it's certainly not going to make you any less secure by taking this out.
No, that was going to be my question. Why is the information there by default? Is it something that is needed in some capacity that we then have to consider if we take it out?
So it's a question of if the client uses it. So would the client have a legitimate reason for needing to know the server or the ASP.NET version or the MVC version? And really the answer is no. It's like, what's my browser going to do?
Yeah, exactly. And you shouldn't code for a particular version.
No. So I'd take it. And the other thing is you save yourself a few response bytes. little bits, little wins.
A few cents a month.
Paying for bandwidth, it's a little bit faster. That sort of stuff. All right, so that is something that I would make some little change with. Now, the other thing is that in ASP.NET, it can be a little bit of a pain to change as well, because you've got to change different things in different places. Like you can take the framework version out in the web.config, but then, and maybe I got these the wrong way around, and then the X-powered version, you've got to go to on begin response and take it out there, and then it's like the server version, then you've got to go and do a URL rewrite rule.
It's a bit of work, but
it's a little bit of mucking around. But you do it once, and then you end up with something like this website here, where if we have a look at that network request, in fact we've got one there already, there are no response headers about server or versions or anything.
Only stuff that's actually needed on the page.
Only stuff that's actually needed.